Hi, good morning. It is February the 16th, Tuesday, 9:45 a.m. And we're going to do a little bit of Constitution here. Um, and this is a hot topic by many um, because here we go, they don't study the documents. Um, they don't look at what was going on at the time. They don't put things in context, and people do the same thing with the Bible. They don't read the scriptures in context. They don't put everything in a logical order, the way it ought to be in order to come out to what the real intent and meaning of passage or verse or paragraph or whatever. And it's the same thing here with what we're going to talk about in the Constitution. We're going to go to Article 1, Section 2. All right. And the context here is the House of Representatives. It says the House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States. Now, the reason for that is why? Because this was new. All right. So you had to be here at least 7 years before. Now, of course, we want people that are born here. We want natural born Americans to sit in our elected seats. And unfortunately, we've allowed that to go away, and we're kind of reaping what we've sown in that. Um, be an inhabitant of that state in which you shall be chosen. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers, which shall be, now watch, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years. Now, let me stop right here for a minute. What this is talking about is indentured servants, and you have to understand, um, when our nation was first being settled, a lot of people could not afford the trip to come over here, and so they would come over as indentured servants, um, and they would work off for 7 years or 5 years or 4 years or whatever the contract was, with whoever came over, um, to obtain their freedom. And normally, after your time was up, you would get a kind of a bonus of some land or maybe some animals. Uh, whatever your owner, if you will, or master, and I hate using those terms because really it's an employer if you think about it. And let's listen. Let's put that where we are today. Your employer is really your master in that you work for them. And if you don't do what they tell you to do, they just fire you. So in that context, they are lord over you, if you will, little L, not big L. In the fact that they set company policy, they set the standards, and you either work for them or you don't work for them. And so back in these days now, because of the contract, you're not under contract most places, so you can just get up and walk out and you're out of a job. Here they were under contract, because these owners paid to have these people over here. Here's an interesting little tidbit while we're on this. between one half and two-thirds of white immigrants to the American colonies between the 1630s and American Revolution came here as under an indentured status. So that's a massive amount of Caucasian people here as slaves. But not even that. There were also those who were just picked up. The indigent and stuff. Even children were kidnapped and brought over here, and they weren't indentured. They were literal, actual, honest to goodness slaves. And so it wasn't just the black people who went through slavery in this nation, and that's what I'm trying to get to here. This whole idea, and that's why I'm going through this. So let me go back to Article 1, Section 2. All right, so representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers. That's an important part, numbers. This is dealing with how many representatives are determined within a specific area, because it's going to explain this in just a minute. Which shall be determined by adding the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, excluding Indians not taxed. In other words, American Indians, and actually American Indians were under their own rule of law. They never did come under Constitution. 3/5 of all other persons. Notice that it doesn't have a color there. Doesn't have a color. It doesn't say black. It doesn't say Chinese. It doesn't say Japanese. It says persons. All right. Now watch. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of Congress, in other words, a census, of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years. That proves that I'm right. It's a census. Every 10 years they take a census, so that they know how many representatives are required for each district. Now watch. The number of representatives shall not exceed one for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least one representative. Now here's why the 3/5. In the South, where the majority of the people owned black slaves, the South wanted the slave count to count 1 for 1 for the purpose of representation, because these people wanted to keep slavery. The North was against slaves. I mean, my goodness, there was tons and tons and tons of people. John Jay and man, I can't even think of other people off the top of my head, but I know, Ben Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, Rufus King, Governor Morris. Okay, there was tons and tons of people in the North who were against slavery, and so in order to assure that there was a fair amount of representation, and in the states, they would only count 3 out of the 5 black votes for purpose of representation. It doesn't mean a black person's only worth 3/5 of a white person. It has nothing to do with individuality. Listen, God is not a respecter of persons. As a matter of fact, if we go to the Declaration of Independence and the preamble of our Constitution, both documents clearly state that all men are created equal. All men are created equal. And this was the whole purpose of getting this in there, so that the South didn't have an overriding power to keep slavery. So this was actually a means and a way of keeping representation and power out of the people who wanted to maintain um, um, slavery. So, guys, the thing is you have to again study this out and make sure that you're really looking at what was going on and why they did what they did. And don't take my word for this stuff, man. I mean, go and do your own research. It's very very simple to get this stuff, um, and especially with the internet being what it is today. There's plenty of information out here. And the thing is I don't use one source. I use 5, 6, 7, sometimes 10 different sources to 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 do these videos. I mean, I do my homework before I do these videos, just like I do with uh, with the scriptures. So, and the other thing is let me reiterate this: nowhere in the Constitution do you ever see race as an issue. Never. You never see, uh, uh, Japanese, Chinese, whatever, black, white, pink, purple, whatever. Race is never mentioned because the framers who wrote the Constitution recognized that all men are created equal and have certain unalienable rights. And that phrase is written to every human being. Certain unalienable rights because all men are created equal. All right, guys, I hope you enjoy this video and have a good day.